Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner, and I hope you guys are ready for a rant because I am not sparing any expense in expressing how much disdain I have for this card here, which is Conquering Supreme Dragon Conquest Fargreat. And to borrow a pun that is in the comment section of this wiki, he is far from great. Like, even the wiki is shitting on this card, which is saying something. I'm sure Vanguardians and being the little scrub hut that it is, that people are saying that this card is fantastic and it's going to be great and Narcomi will be premium meta and all this shit. But, like, you ask anyone looking at this card, and they'll tell you, no, this card's terrible. Like, it's actually a worse first stride than V-Buster, and a worse finisher than Voltage. And I'm struggling to think of very many scenarios where this card is just outright amazing. Like, it has a few fringe benefits, but even then, it's nothing to write home about, and it is easily one of the worst strides in this set. I think even the Dimensional Robo stride is better than this guy. And that's saying something. So why am I shitting on this card? And why are so many other Narcomi players shitting on this card? Well, let's get into it. So Conquest Fargreat has an act once per turn Thunderstrike X skill. That's right, Thunderstrike is back, and if you were underwhelmed by it last time, prepare to be even more underwhelmed. So his effect is turn a card from your G-Zone face up and discard a card from your hand. Choose the same number of your opponent's rear guards as the face-up cards in your G-Zone. Retire bind them, and all of your units get plus 1,000 power until end of turn for each card in your opponent's bind zone. If your opponent has bind zone has 7 or more cards, you get an extra drive. And if it's 10 or more, an extra critical. So, yeah, that's it. Now, bear in mind that this card exists in the same set as the new Ichikishima, who for a counterblast and a flip gets you to draw a card and turn off the auto abilities of your opponent's guardians, so meaning their perfect guards don't work and the auto effects of G guardians, such as ours, are useless against them. Also, it has a neat little bonus effect in the G zone where while it's face up, when counting the number of cards towards your oracles, it also counts your G zone. So even if you don't happen to have 5 cards in hand, this card helps towards it. Fantastic. Or let's take a look at this busted Nova Grappler stride, who, when your rear guard stands, you get to Soul Blast 1, flip, and give this guy an extra drive check, and it is not once per turn. So, depending on how your hand is playing out, oh look, it's Kachivo Golsachi combo. Guess what? You get 5 checks at minimum that turn, 6 if you apply Zubat skill, 7 if you happen to have another enabler, or maybe more if you have an Axel Circle. So, there's that guy. Or how about this Pale Moon stride, which lets you immediately, at the end of the ballot attack, you flip a card in your G-Zone face up, choose a Magi stride from your G-Zone that has power and the Magi ability, stride it on your Vanguard, and call this thing to rear guard, and then your stride gets drive -2. But still, it's 4 checks for free, and it also turns on your deck, because then your Harry stride, like it's going to be the Harry stride you go into, who is on attack, kind of +1 flip, suck up 2, call 2. And your Magi units get plus 3,000 power for every card with the Magi ability in your G-Zone. But bear in mind, though, that this guy is 4 drives for free, whereas this guy, in order to get your 4 drives, you have to flip, discard, and get the 7 cards in bind zone. One of these things is not like the other. Or hell, how about one of the more tamer strides in this set, Green Katrina, who is on place, flip a card in your G-Zone face up, call plant tokens for every card in your G-Zone to rearguard circle. Also, your plant tokens during your turn get power plus 10,000, and it's a continuous ability. And then when it attacks, you search your deck for cards up to the number of your plant tokens and call them to rearguard and shuffle your deck. No restriction on grades, or if it's a normal or an effect, or if it has something with a bloom ability. No, you get to call anything you damn well please for every token you haven't played. And bear in mind, this is Neo Nectar, so you could just ride Maiden a Trailing Rose, spawn 2 tokens, stride this thing, spawn a token. You now have 3 15k boosters, and on attack you get to call 3 cards out of your deck. And maybe there'll even be cards that call tokens out, so then they're even bigger. And bear in mind that this is no counterblast, no discards, no soul blasts. And you got this guy. And just to compare him to some other Naru stuff we have there, Acetonium Lynchu, the stride, double our stride for Eradicators from 12, mind you, is counterblast 1, Persona Flip, suck up an Eradicator, so a very similar cost that he is a neg 1, but this guy's effect is for every face-up card in your G-Zone, you get to force your opponent to kill 2 rear guards. And if your opponent has no rear guards after this effect, you get to draw a card. So he's ultimately a +1 or a break even, and then he just scales even higher, whereas this guy is not. Like, the one thing I will give this guy is that he is the only Narcomi G unit aside from the Brawler one, that gives you spot removal. All the other ones, to my knowledge, are either restricted to the front row, or your opponent chooses what dies and gets bound. This guy allows you to actually hit things that are important in the back row. So that's a thing, but still, like, I do not like the fact that he has a hand discard to activate this effect. Sure, he's no Counterblast, but I would have gladly Counterblasted one or Soul Blasted one if I meant keeping a card in my hand. This is Narukami we're talking about here. You already have problems building up a hand to begin with, and this guy's just making me nag harder just to, you know, like, it's a 1-for-1, whereas most of the strides in the set are +1s or +2s, or guard restricts and restanders and all that nonsense. And like, yeah, like as someone put it, he's not that much better than Vabuster as a first stride. Vabuster, for a Soul Blast 1 on flip, gets you a bind off the field and a bind off the drop zone, so that's Thunder Strike 2. Like, if you stride this guy on top of Sparking, okay, yes, that's 3 cards in bind zone, and then your board is plus 3,000 power. That's nice and all, but oh man, that hand discard, and like that also means you're playing Sparking over your Axel units, and Axel 2 is pretty good here. Like, you're passing up getting extra draws off of continually chaining Stinger Dragons, and like, as far as a first stride for this deck goes, honestly, I'd rather just go into the Progenitor Dragon of Lightning Flame Gilgal, who, granted, you have to Persona discard, and that's not always a guarantee, but still, for what you get off him, first off, Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 1, you get to punch the board, get 10,000 power, and when your attack hits anything, you get a countercharge. And if you punch the full field, you get a countercharge 6, potentially. Nice. Also, while he's face up in your G zone, you get the free stride for the rest of the game. That's pretty cool. That allows you to do things such as the continual riding of Axel Grade 3s, mind you. Like, if you can chain Stingers under Stinger while this guy's face up in the G zone, you just chain Stinger, stride, chain Stinger, stride, and you're drawing cards all at the same time. And this is like the first stride I'd be aiming for, and then afterwards you might use this, or you might go into Vabuster, because Vabuster's Generation Break 3 is also Thunder Strike 7, but you also get 5k to the front row on top of the plus 3,000 power to 3 units when you use his skill, and you get the critical and the quad drive. Like, I look at this card, and I just can't help but be incredibly disappointed. And hell, let's look at some of the comments on this wiki here, because normally the wiki is pretty open to, like, yeah, I can find use for this in my super casual deck, but like, yeah, pretty standard stride. It's incredibly tame. This card is nullified with the assumption you hit 7 cards in the bind zone, but you can't do that on first stride. And what else do we have here? Let's see. Wow, Narukami got another good tempo stride that scales like hell. Shocker. Remind me how Narukami lives through a Morpheus turn, or ever manages to kill Ghidorah. Seriously, this is the worst first stride of a Buster. It's the worst finisher than Voltage. It doesn't even proc Phoenix, which is also another thing I forgot to talk about here. He doesn't trigger Rising Phoenix V series, and that is a big no-no, because this deck's ability to, like, beat your opponent up is actually pretty dependent on how well you can abuse Phoenix. Like, I was really hoping we would get on attack, bind something from the field so we can call Phoenix in battle phase, because the more you can do that, the better, but we didn't get that here. And let's see, the only good thing about this is that you trigger Sparking, and what else do we have here? Yeah, you can either aim to trigger Sparking or try and get Axel 2. Like, I don't see why you would ever play this deck in premium format over other decks out here. Like, as far as the control decks go, you've got Kagero, which is looking kind of spicy now, and you've got Mega Colony. The Ghidorah stride is nuts, and you've already got Tyrannus and Overwhelm to fall back on. And, like, Sleep Command might be just still the better deck. This is really sad. Why didn't it bind 2 for... Yeah, why couldn't this guy have been bind 2 cards per face-up card? I would have accepted that. Or even just like, yeah, bind 2 from field and bind 2 from drop. Like, games don't last long enough, I feel like, to actually get to the point where you'd be freaky, you'd be scared of getting your opponent to, like, I don't know, 20 cards bound for a super disgusting Voltage turn. Like, I think at the end of the day, our best bet is to try and turbo to Closer Dragon and try and finish the game off of Closer Dragon with Axel Circles. Like, yeah, he is far from great. Like, I can only hope that our next wave of support will focus on one of the 2 sub-clans that have good stride support around it. Eradicator is a little spotty, but I've already shown you guys that Linshu is okay, and Zillion, it's not very good, but if they give us Dragonic Descendant, Zuitan, and Heesten in the new sets, then you at least have the option of potentially cheesing your opponent with the Spark Dagger Draco Kid combo. I mean, it's not Azel, but it's still something. Or if they give us Brawler in the new set, then hey, we get Big Bang Knuckle Turbo as a stride, and that card allows you to kill 2 things on attack. Seems decent, but regardless, I look at this and I feel disappointed. Like, at this point, if you want to play Narukami competitively, you might as well go with Standard. But oh wait, I forgot. Standard format is BT versus Kagero, so you're screwed there too. And there's just no winning when it comes to this kind right now. So just put the deck on the shelf and wait until the second wave of support comes out and hope to God it gets us there. And that's all I got to say. So comment down below on what you think about Conquest Fargreat. Am I being overly dramatic here and this card is actually better than giving it credit for? Or am I justified in my skepticism? I'm curious to know what you guys have to say. Until next time, this is Boo Starter 9, jacking out.